Burge, please give a blessing.
Lord, in prayer. Oh, God, most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today with open hearts, and we just thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon our tribe and our leaders. Just thank you, Lord, for our veterans. It makes it possible for us to have the freedom to run this nation. Just guide and lead us in our decision making today. Well, don't hold the lead. Amen.
Amen. Right. Shelley, your roll call.
Yes, sir. David Walkingstick.
Tony.
John Garvin. Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Desert.
Yeah.
Joe Bird.
On him.
Julia Katz. Here. Jody Fishenhot. Janelle Fulbright. Present. Frankie Hargis. Present. China Glory Jordan. Dick Tanner. Dick Lay.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Denise Taylor. Here. David Thornton.
Here.
Victoria Vesquez. Honey. Carrie Callan Watts. Honey. We do have a quorum.
All right, we've got the approval of minutes from August 11th. So here,
Make a motion to be approved.
motion by Jack Baker, second Hargis. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Down to reports. Talking Leaves Job Corps, Miss Diane Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This has been a really wild month for us. We've had a lot of things going on. You've got some handouts that are coming around. This is just to let you know that we still have 2 job fairs this month for the South Coffeyville Casino. I know that I usually report on that in the Executive Finance, but I wanted to let you know that we still have 2 more. We didn't have as good a turnout in Bartlesville, and I was explaining that to Councilman Lay, but we had a better turnout in Bonita last Thursday, and apparently, from what I understand, they got some really good candidates at both places. I think some of the people from the casino at the other casino over there in Bartlesville. Ramona. I think some of those people are wanting to transfer, so they're looking at some people maybe to backfill those positions. And then last Thursday, we had a meeting in Tulsa with the Macy's group. It was a really good turnout. I took 2 of my job developers with me. We met with the Macy's people. They kind of mapped out what the roadmap's going to be between now and the time they open in June of 2015. And these are positions that are actually on their website. They rolled it out the other day and gave us these. They're trying to hire their management team right now, and the reason they're trying to get the management team on board is so that they can actually work at the fulfillment centers in Georgia, Arizona, and California, so that they will know what to expect this time next year. Their peak season starts October 1 and runs through December the 31st. So they wanted to make sure they had that management team and some of the lead people. They'll start hiring the lead people about November and December. They wanted to try to get their management team on board first. So this is information that you all were wanting, so here it is. Yes?
Diane, what's the website for these jobs?
The website, that's a good one. Right here is the information they gave us. It's a handout. They did not give us anything on the computer. This was the handout.
Is it Macy's
yes.
website?
When we went on there, we were working it with our iPhones, and it was not up yet. Mrs. Hilliard said that she was going back to New Jersey. She was going to work on that. Hopefully this week, it would be straightened out, because Tulsa is so new. They don't have it built yet. Somehow or another, it was not accurate on their website, but she said give us a few days to get back into Ohio and we'll have it straightened out. So you should be able to go to the Macy's website and scroll down and get into that for these positions that are open.
You said for in a couple of days or next week sometime?
Yeah, this week.
Okay.
This week. They should be posted at their shell. They have the shell up out at Owasso. If you've driven by there, it is up, and they do have signage up that says they are hiring management. So just wanted to share that with you. We're opening our Tulsa office this Wednesday at 3 o'clock, and I think most of you have received the information on that, and I hope you all can come out. This is the first time we've ever had an office in Tulsa. We're real excited. The staff are excited, and they've been working real hard to get ready for this opening, and I hope that you all can come out and help us with that. Our staffing for the jobs-driven national emergency grant, they're hired now. We just don't have them on board yet. We still have about 2 more people. They should be on board within the next week, and we're thinking that they'll be on board, then we can start our training. And as soon as Mrs. Blair signs off on our modification, we can start taking applications on that grant, and we're excited about it. The 2 places where most of that's going to happen is in Tulsa and in Pryor, so we're excited about the staff that are coming on board. Our shutdown for day training will start at the end of this month. We have to do a closeout for that because of the new fiscal year, so we won't have any C&B people on there unless they're being reimbursed. So we won't have any more on there until after October 1st. And day training will start up on October the 6th, which is on a Monday. So if you've got constituents that are asking you, it'll be October the 6th. Job Corps received their North Central accreditation. We're real excited about that. Ramona Holt and her team over there have worked real hard on that. We hosted the state Job Corps leadership group in their school board last week. I was chairing that meeting. It was really a good meeting. They commended the work that Jay, Mona, and the staff over at Job Corps have been doing. So I just wanted to let you know it's good when your other counterpartners in the state recognize what they're doing over there. And if you know of potential students 16 to 24 years of age, we're interested in having them come and tour on Thursdays at 10 o'clock. And we are, right now, our center is full at capacity. We're one of a few centers in the United States that's full right now. Job Corps will celebrate 35 years operating a center here at Cherokee Nation. We'll also be celebrating 50 years nationally. Brenda Fitzgerald, I told you all that she was battling cancer. She's went through all of her treatments. Brenda is back full-time now. And if you get a chance, go by and say hi to her. She's glad to be back. We're excited about her being back. She's going to take 25% of her time to oversee the job development piece of this job-driven national emergency grant. Daryl Legg is out this week. His wife had her baby. So he's out on maternity leave this week, and he will assume the 25% on the specialized training, and he'll be back next week. So I know you all were talking to Ron and to David. We've had our EPT program through our economic development. We've had staff over there through our program working with our housing rehab and David's program. We had about 12 to 14 of our guys that's been assigned to some of his lead people. So we've had them over there, and I was talking to David about replacing maybe 3 or 4 that we've moved to other places. And hopefully they're going to get jobs. David said a lot of the contractors were looking at some of the guys that we've got out there working. So they're pretty good workers from what he told us. I think that's pretty much my report. Do y'all have any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Diane? Yes, Councilor Watts.
I'm
Councilor
sorry.
Watts.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Diane. How are you doing?
Good.
How is the GED changes? What are the kind of effects that you've seen? Is there any anecdotal or statistical just feedback you can give us?
Yes, the numbers for the GED graduation this year are going to be down because we had to shut down for a period of time while we were trying to get our testing sites up, because there was no testing going on for a period of so many months, and then we had to get the testing sites up. The state had to come and check them out, and so there was probably about a 3-month window in there that we were not actually doing any testing. So we are playing catch up right now. So our numbers are going to be down, but they're down all over the state, is what I understand.
Okay, so we should expect a decrease in number because it's become more difficult.
That is correct.
Okay, that's what I think we talked about, and that would be expected. I just wanted to know if it was still.
Yeah. Okay. There's 3 different testing instruments in the United States, and the state of Oklahoma chose to use Pearson VUE, and Pearson VUE is probably by far one of the more complicated. And so that right there is one of the areas that we're having trouble in getting people to go in. And some of these people don't even know how to use computers. So we're
Very good. I know, I appreciate the feedback. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, yes, Councilman Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I was going to comment on the GED completions too, because that's a little bit better than what we were initially thinking. So
That is correct.
That's good.
That is correct.
That's a lot of work. I know. My question was on the Macy's. How are we going to track Cherokee hires?
We are scheduled to meet with Mrs. Hilliard when she comes back in about a week or two. The Area Tulsa Chamber spearheaded the meeting with all the different workforce partners last week, and we were not afforded the opportunity to sit down with them that morning before the meeting that afternoon. There was 3 groups that met with them. One was the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission, because they were interested in on the tax incentives for people that are unemployed, and then also the state workforce got in on the ground floor with them. Mrs. Hilliard indicated that when they come back out, they wanted to spend like an afternoon or a whole morning with us. So she realizes the fact that we do have a lot to offer, and so we're going to be meeting with them here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. So you'll keep us posted on
Yes,
that?
I will.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Any other questions for Diane? All right, seeing none. Diane, good report. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate all your support.
All right, next, Executive Director's Report, Bill Ando, Dr. Sly.
Dr. Sly sends her apologies. She is out at a conference, actually meetings in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So you've received the report. If you have any questions, I'm going to do my best to address those.
Yes, Council Lady Coates. Coates, sorry, Watts. I apologize. Sorry, Dr. Coates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any opportunity to look again at funding our students for high school ACES national trip?
We could look at that budget, and we've taken a pretty good hit on the ACES national trip, which was getting very expensive. I think the last trip we took, we actually chartered a full-size plane for that. So, I'd be glad to take it back to, as part of Dr. Sly's team, to take it back to her team and see if she has an alternative proposal. I don't think it's going to be cost prohibitive for us to take as many as we took before, but there's certainly we certainly look into it.
Even if there's a more limited look at it.
Okay.
There could be a different approach.
Yeah.
But I hate the idea that there's some of our students that are really dedicated through the science engineering fair or other things, and they're doing the posters, even as high school students. If there's a way for us to encourage that still, even if it's been curtailed or not as large as it was in the past.
Yeah, we'll revisit with the limited approach aspect, see what we can come up with.
Okay, and then on the other part of it, on scholarships for like the new online application, because we kind of changed and we separated from the foundation.
Right.
How is that working out?
That's working out very well. This is a program that Choctaw Nation has been using for some time. We've been very pleased with the reports that we're able to generate from that software. It's been very user-friendly. The only problem we actually have had is that occasionally we'll have a student go to the foundation site and fill out their form instead of ours. But we've been very pleased with that company, and the students have seemed to be doing pretty well.
Okay, and I know I asked you about this last month, and this may not have anything to do with your decision-making ability, and it may be somebody else that you're reporting for. I don't know, but the rumors are persistent on the NSU language program having been cut.
The language program has not been cut at NSU. As I went into the meeting last time, we were certainly looking at the change. That program is certainly meeting. It's meeting some objectives, but not the objectives that we set. The objectives that we set for that was that it was to supply teachers for the immersion school. And over a decade time, we have 2 or 3 teachers that have come from that program. And
we've graduated more than that, but only 2 or 3 have been hired.
Yeah. So something we have to make some type of change in order for just the sheer long-term survival of the immersion school. It's time for us to take a different approach because this approach isn't working. At the same time, that language program is meeting some needs within the school, just not what we originally intended. And so no classes are being canceled at NSU. NSU is going to continue.
Are
to
any
make
staff
changes.
affected, whether they're Cherokee Nation or NSU staff?
There's nobody losing a position. I'd have to look into it and see if anybody's actually, what the actual moves are.
Have we changed the MOU, MOA, or are we altering it?
I'm going to probably have to defer to Dr. Morton on terms of the MOU, MOA.
Thank you very much, Bill. Hi, Dr. Morton.
In order to provide an opportunity for Northeastern to effectively get through the transition in the program, as Mr. Ando has already stated, Northeastern plans to continue the academic program that they have on the books in the College of Liberal Arts. We are, I guess, in fact, canceling the contract, but we're canceling the contract on December the 31st so that they can get through this semester and make whatever transition they need to make. Now, we have two persons at Northeastern that are on Cherokee Nation payroll. They will continue to work with Education Services with the newly designed program. To give you just that program in a nutshell, it's this. We're going to pick for spring semester, we're going to pick 5 students that we hope are at least conversational in Cherokee. We're going to put them at the immersion school for 15 hours per week. During that 15 hours, they're going to be immersed in the language, working with the teachers and the teacher assistants. Also, they're going to take Cherokee classes from some of our existing first language speakers. Durbin Feeling would be the teacher leader during that 15-hour period of time. You see, with the state requirements, it really doesn't matter what happens next year. Let me back up. We don't know what's going to happen next year as far as state requirements are concerned. But one thing that we are assured of, because we are a charter school, there will be greater emphasis paid on content area other than language. Language will be first, but there will be attention have to be paid to the content test areas. So the teachers that we choose will be majors in some phase of elementary education. Right now, we could really use an early childhood specialist at the immersion school, and we do not have one. Now, by determining what majors we're going to need, the students will come in. They will be under the same type of arrangement that the Promise Scholars are now, the scholars that we have at Northeastern in a dormitory arrangement. We will pay their expenses. At the end of the first year, we'll give them an out. Are you in this program or are you out of this program? Because one of the problems we've had in the past is that some of the students who graduated from the program found out they didn't like kids after they did intern teaching. Well, that's a little bit late.
It's understandable.
A little bit late. So with this program, they're going to be with kids every day. And at the end of that first year, if they say, no, I just can't stand this, they can go. Now, if they wait longer than that, we will require them to pay the money back.
Wow, that's good.
If they do not teach for us. Now, we have, on Facebook, you can say that, hey, there's a person out there that they wouldn't hire. Well, we've never gotten that person to find time yet to fill out an application. So, when you really don't have a hold over them, you don't have anything. Yes, sir.
Dr. Morton, how many hours are required by the state?
I'm sorry.
How many hours are required by the state for this degree that you're talking about?
124 minimum.
124 minimum. So this is more like a retention program. If we pay for it, they come back and work for us?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Keener, you had your hand up.
Oh, my questions have been answered. Thank you,
right.
Mr. Chair.
Council Lady Coates.
Thank you. So let me try and paraphrase a little bit of what you've just said, and which is that if they do go past this first year, commit to staying in it for the additional time until they do graduate, then they will have a job with our immersion school. That's pretty much guaranteed to them. Okay. So there are going to be 5 students that are selected at the outset, you said. How are those selections going to be made? Do you have any idea of what criteria will be or anything like that?
They have not been made, but we will start recruiting those in October. And they'll be recruited from students who may already be enrolled in college, and perhaps some from high schools. But we want students that have some pre-introduction to the language. So we think that the pre-service connected with the in-service will produce a better solution.
I'm interested in it. As you know, work in university systems as well, and the bureaucracy is almost insurmountable sometimes. And so I think it's an intriguing idea, to take it in a little bit more independent direction out of this whole thing. I guess my concern in asking about this is that there are 5 people that we're going to choose that are going to be guaranteed a job from the outset if they stay with this. And I would like to hope that the selection process would be a fairly neutral type of process that would be on simply the merits alone rather than who the individuals are or anything like that.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Chief Burke.
Yes. You said we've only produced 2 teachers in the past, how many years?
9.
About how much money have we spent?
Okay, now there's where it gets kind of sticky.
You don't have to give that answer. You don't
I'm going to tell you. Remember, Mr. Ando said that the objectives of the program, the main objective of the program was to produce teachers.
Yes.
Now, we've gained a great deal by having a program at Northeastern. The fact that, hey, there's a Cherokee language program there. You can get a major in the language. You can even get a teaching degree in the language. It's going to take a whole bunch of hours, but you're going to be able to get it. The contract is $1,000 per year.
100,000.
I mean, 100,000. I wish it were. 100,000. So we have a couple of gold-plated teachers.
Yeah. Wow. Well, what I was leading to is some of the speakers, we had an interesting meeting last week, and some on your staff right there at Immersion. We had, without giving names, they were right there on staff, and we just had a meeting and assessed the language program somewhat with some of the data you guys have shared with us. And we had 10 speakers in there, and I would say 9 of us had teaching degrees. And sometimes we misunderstand for the public, because a person speaks a language doesn't qualify them to be a teacher of the language. If you got all these Asians and groups, just because they speak their language doesn't qualify them to know the the ways of teaching. That makes sense to everybody?
Right.
Well, that's what we've done in years past here at the Cherokee language. Go find somebody in rural areas that could speak the language. You're the teacher. We've come a long ways with that. So what we did is started going out in the communities, rural areas, and coming up with what are the numbers that are truly left that are speakers out there. And you have to have a gauge. When we're talking about more conversational Cherokee, not the written, not the syllabary taught, but actually be able to get in a dialogue with the language. And we've got some thinking and some thoughts to share with you guys, and we're not there yet. But it really excites me that you're going to start somewhere with this language here, putting so many people out there to learn, because we're short out there on people that want to come up and be certified to teach. We don't have that in place yet. And it's good to see that you're going to do that. I wish there were more we could do. 5 is not very many, but maybe it's a start. I like to say 10. 10 would be a better number if we could afford it. Something to think about, but we will share our thoughts with you. And I have a narrative from that meeting. We took minutes and said when the time is right, we'll go to Dr. Martin, Mr. Ando, and share these concepts with you. And what I want to do is get to where we could have somebody that's really the authority on the language. I threw that question out to Immersion, Consortium, and some of these other teachers said, who is the authority on the language? If I have a question, who's the final say? Someone say, yes, this is correct. And they all looked at each other, and no one had an answer. I said, we have to establish that organizational chart and see who is the authority that makes that decision.
And we have to do it with this generation.
Yes.
With the generation that you talk to,
yes,
who are already past middle age.
But I'm glad you guys are doing it.
So if we're able to do that, then we will have a language program year in and year out for, 30 years from now. There will be a council sitting around talking about ways to improve the language program. If we don't do that, that won't be on the agenda.
Yes. Well, I'd like to be consulted as you move along with the language. My certification actually doesn't come from Northeastern. Mine is an old certification. It comes from Agnes Cowan and that group there that did the first bilingual program. I think maybe Cherokee bilingual program in Oklahoma. So I didn't really feel like going back and getting another certification when I had it from kind of the founding fathers of bilingual education.
Well, I've talked with the translation group, and it's their opinion that the approach that the Eastern Band is using is producing more spontaneity in translation, in speaking among their youth, among their young people, than we are. And I think one of the reasons for that is that they are concentrating more on using the language in conversational settings rather than trying to use the language to pass tests.
That's correct. Yes.
So that's the way we hope this new Immerse the Teacher program works.
Okay. Well, thank you. You answered my question, and keep up the good work with the language. Keep me involved, if you would. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Morton, while you're still up there, can you brief the council on the process on the Katua scholarships? Some of you guys may have heard some stuff in the community. Can you go ahead and brief us on your formula on how we're going to do that?
I even have a note. I thought that might come up. As you know, this is the first time that the United Katua Band has approached the Cherokee Nation for scholarships. And as a self-governance tribe, the federal funds for higher education for the 14-county area, your jurisdiction area, is allocated to the Cherokee Nation. So the UKB members are eligible for Pell money. They're not eligible for Cherokee Nation money. So we sat down and worked out a formula. It's basically this. We have 1,865 Cherokee Nation Pell Grant students. The UKB applications, there were 31 that met all of the requirements. Now, the requirements being the same requirements as Cherokee Nation citizens. That gave us 1,896 students eligible for Pell monies. The amount of money that we had in that fund, BIE funds for scholarships for this semester, was $252,619. So that means that every student, whether they're Cherokee Nation or whether UKB, would receive $133.25 from that pool of federal funding. Now, the other, Bill, you're good at math, the other amount up to $2,000 you're providing from Cherokee Nation Enterprises, from earnings from your budget. So the office staff at least thought it was, when we discussed it, thought it was fair to award federal money to UKB students, same amount that is included in the $2,000 that you award Cherokee Nation students. And that's $133.25. Now, is that going to make everyone happy? No. UKB scholarships, it's hard to get information on how much they receive, but the best I can determine, when the casino was up and running, it was $1,500 a year, full year. And then when the casino closed, it was $750 per year. Now, we know, of course, that there are some students who are double enrolled. We have no way of knowing who those students are. So there may be some students in the past who have received money from both funds. But the $133.25 seemed to us to be the only fair way to distribute the funds. So that's what we...
Hey, Dr. Morton, that was a good explanation, and I think that's fair and just to everybody. Especially, we're going to count these kids based off of a U.S. census of all Native American tribes under our self-governance compact. I believe, so is that clear with the council? Is everyone clear on that formula? Yes, Council Lady Watts.
Thank you. So on the, I have a series of questions actually. So out of the 1,865 Pell Cherokee Nation students, I recall that included at-large tribal citizens, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That includes in and out.
Okay, so on the 31 for the UKB Pell students, we only include their in-district, or do we also include their out-of-district?
I'm not so sure that we determined whether they were in or out. I think they just determined that they were theirs.
Yeah, just theirs.
Okay. And then it was evenly distributed, so at the end of the day, they will receive only the $133.25 each from the BIE funds and not the additional dollars.
Right.
And then UKB will or will not provide information on their end, on their side, for their scholarships.
So far, have not.
Okay, and then we're not going to be able to do an audit to determine if these UKB citizens are also duly enrolled in Cherokee Nation, or will we be doing that? I'm kind of confused with that part.
We will be doing that because they had to list. See, we send their check to whichever school they indicate that they will enroll in.
I assume because we have the records, we would be able to do an audit, so
Yes.
to speak, of at least those 31.
Right.
Okay. And that will be it. And then, so this was a official letter sent to the chief's office, and it asked us, and there's no BIE involvement at this point, or we're going to report to BIE. How was this handled? Because I assume if we do this for education, we're going to begin doing this for other programs as well. So I want to understand from a global perspective what the impact will be on all programs. So what was the process that was done?
You probably would impact education on a specific individual basis greater than any other program.
Well, okay, let me state this a different way. How did this occur? Was the letter sent to BIE and BIE demanded that we do this, or was this sent to the chief's office? How was this approached?
It was actually a cold call from UKB to the College Resource Center that said, when do we send our students over? And that was essentially the sum of the message that we got on the phone. And so we have proceeded cautiously on this because we realize it's a government-to-government relationship, and so that's why it's kind of taken a long time to get to the point where we are now. So there was nothing official from them initially other than that.
Okay, so thank you. From a governance perspective, did I understand earlier in the report, Dr. Morton, that there is an MOU or MOA we're putting in place?
I'm sorry.
Well, how are we formalizing this agreement? Because I don't think anything's come in front of council.
We have not formalized the agreement today. I mean, just like I said, this has been progressing very slowly. So you're getting the report on where we stand today. And so no, there is no MOU or MOA to date.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Just for, if you'd like to, I have the, somewhere I can remember that number, about 3,681 students that you will be funding this year, Cherokee Nation students. 3,681. The greatest number ever funded.
Wow.
But notice those college costs zooming. University of Oklahoma, 16% of the total budget coming from state funds, and that's our largest state school.
So the largest number in the history of Cherokee Nation, 3,681 scholarships, correct? Okay, thank you. That's really good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good job, Councilman.
And by the way, we're going to make history on the dropout program. When we get the promised scholars, one more year at Northeastern, 2 more at Rogers State, the dropout rate is going to be extremely, extremely low.
Good to hear.
That's what we like to hear. Good job, Dr. Moore.
And one of these, I'm going to request that one of the employees with the NSU language program, who also coordinates the Promise program at Northeastern, also be sort of our counselor in residence at Northeastern, because Northeastern, of course, has the largest number of our students. And so often, if there is a friendly person there that one can contact and say, hey, I have trouble. All of you know Probably everyone in this room has contacted me about Johnny or Susie. So often it's just if I can get right over the edge with a little bit of money or a little bit of help, that makes the difference. It's not the amount of money that you're providing to them, it's your concern and your interest. That's doing more than your money, and you're to be commended for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Thornton?
Yes, my questions would be, on the 3,681 funded, does that include the graduate scholarships for people that are over the...
Yes.
It's total.
Have gotten there? Okay. And Pell money would be a federal funding?
Yes.
36 UKBs or 31 UKBs
31.
are included in that?
And Pell does not fund, those federal funds cannot be used for graduate or advanced degrees.
Okay.
So those are all undergraduate students.
Do we know if any of those 31s are trying to get, that would be the only federal funding they would get would be from the Cherokee Nation, not the UKB?
As far as we know.
Okay, if they're from the UKB and both.
In other words, at least it wouldn't be the same pot of money.
They can't double dip with
That would be
Pell.
double dipping,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, they could possibly get like a housing assistance or some other type of federal funds, but not Pell.
But would they get housing assistance from us too?
They could, but they're,
For both?
well,
They could, but we don't have any applications for it.
yeah.
Then that, if that's a federal funding, that would be double dipping. Okay. But there's no way we can check that, right? The $750 scholarship that the UKB is giving out,
No,
per
actually,
student or?
they claim, they say that they're not awarding anything now.
It's nothing now.
Yeah.
Well, that was apparently from discretionary funds?
The $750 is what they got last semester.
Yeah, that had to be from discretionary funds probably? Or?
Yeah.
Now, there was something came up about UKB out of the district. UKB tribe doesn't allow their people to live outside the district, do they? They don't have any at-large people?
No.
At all? Okay. I just want to make that clear. Okay, thank you very much.
You bet.
Speaker Jordan?
The Promise Scholarship will be coming to Connors next year, is that right? Or are we going to try to set up a program there at Connors too?
Yes. Connors next year.
All right.
The Rogers State program is growing. They have probably twice the number
They
they had
doubled.
last
I mean,
year.
they started really small. I mean, we knew we got to start someplace, and so they went from approximately 9 to 18
Okay.
in 1 year.
I know Connors is most interested in getting that.
And we had one student at Northeastern who's we allowed to start as sophomore because she was such dire straits money-wise. She graduated in May. First one in her family to ever receive a college degree.
Council Lady Fisher-Hawk?
Maybe I'm mistaken here, but I'm trying to remember. Did you not do a study several years ago on how many Cherokee speakers we had left?
I'm sorry.
This study, that was the A&A funded study on the speaker assessment through the 14 counties. I think that was probably
How long ago was that?
about 2006, 2007. And so we're going to have to, we need to get out and do that again. So
How many were there?
I don't, you remember the data on that?
Yeah, do you remember the-
It was about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So by the time we finish 5 years, we need to repeat that study.
Do you remember how many it was?
I don't remember.
I was wondering what the percentage was or how many people they were or where they was. I'm assuming they're concentrated probably around here in Adair, Delaware,
Most definitely.
Sequoia.
Yeah.
Could you just send me that information anyway, if you can find it? I'd like to see it.
Good deal.
Speaker Jordan.
I was just making sure you're not planning on coming to the council. You have interpreted the BIE rules to include the 31 students, UKB students. So you're not planning on coming to the council for anything on this? I think it amounts to $4,123.
No, since the money had already been appropriated and was in the budget, for students, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Eric, you have questions? Good report, guys. Good report. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Bill? Thank you. All right, Vernon's not here. Mr. Qualls, Sequoia High School.
Hey, Tyler.
That's what I was thinking.
Mr. Chair and Council, good afternoon. I've been attempting to bring my principal down for months now to give a report on our academics. She's with me today, so I want to scoot through what you have received from me and remind you that what you got is about 2 weeks old and has changed. One thing that hasn't changed is the number of students at immersion. It's still at 130. Cafeteria, our people do a great job. They get through 400 to 450 students every day. Our dorms are pretty steady, as you can see, at 116 with 58 girls and 58 boys. We have a junior fast-pitch softball player that has verbally committed to play softball at OSU, which is pretty phenomenal. We've only had one in the history of Sequoia that we know of that's played D1 softball, and Haley would be our second one. And again, she is a junior. She has one more season to go after this one. And she's a big part of the reason why our softball team is ranked number 3 in Oklahoma. An update on that record, they're 23-4 now. Our volleyball team has climbed into the top 10. They were number 9, I think, when I did the report. Now they're number 5. 17-3 is the last record I had from them. You can see where our cross-country teams have done pretty well. Adding on to what you have with you is Sequoia put on a cross-country meet last Saturday, and both teams finished 3rd there, which included teams of all class, which is good for us. Our kids had a great showing. Our football team is 1-1 at this point and play Broken Bow next Friday at home. The traffic light update, it's there. It's not completed, and it will not be until somewhere around October the 14th. But the extra lanes that they have provided coming in and out of Sequoia has really reduced our traffic backup, if you would, there. And that's one of the things that's caused the hazardous conditions. And the last thing that will be put in will be the light, the traffic light itself, and the front entrance will not be closed until about a week before it's completed. And just one little tidbit here from the BIE. They give us a date for count week, and we had to seek approval and got permission from them to change our dates. They encumbered at first the fall break, which would have been devastating for us to have count week and no kids in a dorm. So we were able to adjust that, thank goodness. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our high school principal to give a report on academics, Principal Jolynn Rose.
Morning, sirs, madams. We have 381 students currently at Sequoia High School, 27 different tribes represented. 18 students are enrolled at the VOTAC at ICTC. We have 1 at Muskogee. She's in the LPN program. And I don't know if you understand that or not, but that's quite a feat to have a high school senior accepted into the LPN program. We also have 2 young ladies that were accepted into the LPN program here at Tahlequah that graduated, and the lady that did the interviews said, send us more, because our students were very well prepared as far as the interview process was concerned, and they knew what they wanted to do and what it was going to take to get where they're going. So I was very excited. I'm very excited about that. 28 students that are concurrently enrolled right now at Northeastern State University. I'm told that's the largest number that we've ever had at Sequoia that has been concurrently enrolled. I have 1 student at the Oklahoma School of Science and Mathematics. I did have 2, but the young man decided that he would rather stay on campus. He's rather heavily involved with student council, and I understand that approach as well. Our ACT scores are rising. I just received the report for 2014. We're up 18.8 as our composite average, up from 17.1 the year before. And then I have the trends from the last 5 years if anyone would like to see those. Some schedule additions that we added to our schedule this current school year was Honors English 1. We had started our honors program at Sequoia some time back. However, we have instituted Honors English 1 for those incoming freshmen because we do have students that are talented as far as honors classes are concerned, and are also geared towards juicing up their GPA for scholarships, because as you have already duly noted, those scholarships and money for college is a dire necessity for students that are going to further their education. We had 34 freshmen that qualified for our Honors English 1 class. In fact, we had to make 2 blocks for Honors English 1 instead of just 1. So that was something that we're very excited about. We also added an Honors Biology 1. Applied Physics A and B. This is new. Physics is not new to Sequoia, but the A and B is, because they're 9 weeks courses. The last time I was before the board, I talked about because we are in the block schedule, having more opportunities for students to explore different classes in the arts and in STEM. And Mr. Smith, who is our IT Essentials and Network Essentials person, has helped with that tremendously as far as those classes are concerned. But then Dr. Cole, who is retired from Northeastern State University and was recruited to Sequoia for the robotics program, also decided, let's get some kids that are interested, maybe not in the full semester, in the full 18 weeks and get a full credit of physics, but let me get them into the classroom for 9 weeks. Let's just see how they'll do. I can water it down just a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. We count it as a science elective. It's not a full credit, especially if they don't take the A and the B, but it does whet their appetites as far as physics is concerned, and we're hoping to spur them in that direction. I might also add that we also suggest young ladies to enter into this class, in that I know that Native American women are not, the numbers in the field of math and science are not as high as they would like, and are heavily recruited by different companies throughout the United States. We have a Native American Storytelling and Performing Arts, which is also a 9 weeks course. Mrs. Ray had initially been taking care of this in her drama class, and it would take away from the different aspects as far as drama is concerned. And so now we have, again, the 2 9 weeks courses, and so students have the opportunity to, again, see if they might be interested in either performing arts or in the Native American storytelling aspect of this class. They will be performing at the Heritage Center during the cultural days. We have an ACE remediation. It is offered during the school day. In the past, this is something that has been left to Plato. Many students, though, benefit more when there's a live person instead of they're sitting down in front of a computer screen, especially when you're talking about Algebra 2, Geometry, and Algebra 1. And so that class is new this year. The junior, these classes aren't particularly new, but we are continuing them this particular year because they were successful last year. And we want to see that continue to happen. The junior achievement and the ACT prep classes, I just spent last Thursday, and then Ms. Nelson went in today, I believe, in teaching the mathematics portion of the ACT prep from the Princeton Review to those students that Ms. Downing has. Our college prep is also a class that we want to, we definitely see the benefits. We had 4 Gates Millennium Scholars out of 8 semifinalists this last year, and so that was, again, 50% of your finalists is still a very good number. Math Connections, this one's new, I'm sorry. Math Connections and Character Chess. One of the things that we have tried to institute, the first year I came on board, there was a writing initiative because we wanted to try to get ready for Common Core and because of college and career readiness so that students understand what will be expected of them when they walk onto a college class or walk onto a college campus and into a college classroom. We have continued that writing initiative. And then the next year focused on Achieve 3000, again, helping as far as their reading Lexile levels are concerned for Common Core. This year we will focus on character education. Last year we had a bit, I'm not going to say that it was an unusual year as far as struggling is concerned for character education, but what I did notice was that any is too much. And if we can head it off, and we can do it by means of peers, and I'm talking about student-to-student relationships, then we want to do that. And we will start that very soon. Street law, criminal law. Coach Jerry also teaches, he's in our social science department, but because of his background in law enforcement and criminal justice, he makes a very interesting teacher as far as street law and criminal law is concerned. And the students are his class is always packed. Theater appreciation and musical theater, robotics, both VEX and FRC. Don't ask me what those stand for. But I will say that because we have offered robotics on the schedule a little bit more, we have students that wouldn't necessarily have been interested or intrigued by it, trying it out, and then finding that they might have a niche actually in that subject area. 15 students, the top 11 juniors and the top 4 sophomores will take the PSAT come October. And the PSAT is, if you will, a prognosis test to see how well they will do on the SATs. This is also something that the National Merit Scholar Award is based off of. So based on their scores, they may or may not qualify for the National Merit Scholarship. But we do have 15 students that will be taking that test in October. The end of the quarter was last Friday. 1/8 of the school year is complete. At our very first PEP assembly last Friday, I told the students that. I also made them aware that they should be checking their student portal. Through the NASIS software that we have, we've always had parent portal on there where parents can get on the website and check their students' absences and or grades. Now we have decided to give that option to the students. So they can at any time jump on their student portal, find out if the paper they've turned in has been graded and posted, or if there needs to be something that has to be redone, or if they've missed something, and it's all right there. Of course, I also tell them to check their email. I think that they would probably check it better if I were on Snapchat or Twitter, but I'm not going to go there. Last thing I have on the front of this page, actually two things. The after-school program has started and it is in full swing. And then Sequoia, because we talked about Oklahoma Promise, Sequoia was recognized as an Oklahoma Promise champion last year for our class size. And what that means is we had, I believe, 26 or 27, I'm not sure about that number, and I tried to get on the website, but it wouldn't let me. But we had 26 or 27 students out of the, I want to say 89 that graduated that qualified for Oklahoma Promise last year, and so we were awarded that.
Hey, Jolene, what's those numbers again?
26 or 27 out of 89 students that
What's the percent on that?
Well, just off the top of my head, about 27%.
A little bit, sure. Sounds good.
I could figure it out.
Those are pretty good numbers for OLAP.
Yes.
You used to teach math, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Hey, Chief Bird, go ahead.
It's encouraging to see that you're concentrating on improving the ACT scores. I mean, I would say go back 4 or 5 years and just see how far we've come. I think we've stayed pretty steady at about 17, but by now it looks like we're on the way up. Also, is it still the process of where we test all of our students versus some schools just test a certain amount, or is that still the...
Well, the policy that we instituted last year was that we wanted them to take an ACT prep course of some sort. Now, we provided them that with the Princeton Review, and if they took that or had taken something like that before, then we would pay for their test, but that we wanted them to be prepared. I have, as a matter of fact, I had a debate with the parent because he has a freshman this year at Sequoia, and he is Johnny on the spot. I mean, he wants his freshmen to go ahead and take the ACT this year just as a jumping off point to see what maybe needs work and where in what capacity he could fulfill that. And what I shared with him was the policy that we had instituted. Well, that young man is in the pre-ACT class, and that's perfectly fine. What I had also shared with a lot of students, though, is that I really recommend that they take in Algebra 2 before they take the ACT. I also, when I talk with the students, a couple of things. I always try, anytime I get a student in front of me, whether it's for disciplinary reasons or any other, they're coming to me about a meeting or grades or absence or whatever, I try to share, I want to know what they want to do. I want to know, do they have a plan? I've asked all of the teachers, and one of the things that we did last year when we had Achieve 3000 come on board, which, if I can just do a sidebar, because I didn't get to brag about our Achieve 3000 last year, we had an expected growth of 30 points on our Lexile gains, and we had an actual growth of 42. So that was incredible. But the Lexile growth for below grade level readers, and those are the people that we really want to affect, we had an expected growth of 40 points as far as Lexile levels are concerned, and our actual growth was 61. So when I shared that with the teachers, I was extremely proud. And then finally, the last one, the Lexile gains related to the quality program use. In other words, if they finished an article, they were supposed to read an article and then answer questions about it on their grade level, they had to complete it at 75% or greater. So they couldn't just like read an article and put any kind of numbers and get credit for it. We, again, had an expected growth of 30 points. We didn't want to shoot real high, but again, these are things that when we sat down with the company, they help us to establish based on our pre-level set scores of our students' Lexile levels. Again, the expected growth was 30. My kids had an actual growth of 138. So we, in effect, Achieve 3000, in effect, impacted so many students on their grade level as far as reading is concerned.
Hey, Jolene.
Hand over fist.
How many ACTs do we pay for the Sequoia kids?
For Sequoia kids?
Is it unlimited or?
Well, Oh, do you mean like, can one student just do however many they want? We haven't instituted a policy on that. Typically, because what I also share with these students is this: the ACT is not a sprint, it is a marathon. And a lot of times, a student will get in there, take that test, and go, I don't know if this is for me. Or they'll get in there. I have one particular student that scored a 32 last year. She's pretty phenomenal. She wants to go to Brown. I'm pretty sure she's going to get in. Incidentally, she's in our #1 spot for graduating. I mean, she's the #1 spot for our seniors right now. She's a phenomenal little thing. She has taken the ACT, I believe, 7 times. On average, I could probably have that for you next time if that's what you would like.
Just curiosity.
I would say on average probably 3 to 4 times.
Okay.
That's a high number too, because many of our students, whatever's going to get them in the place that they want to go, when they reach that, they're done.
Chief Byrd?
No, I'm through. I just had, how many concurrent enrollment did you?
28.
28. Wow, that's a good number.
That's a good number.
Okay.
Is there any other questions?
Thank you.
Councilor Watts, sorry.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, Watts. Sorry about that.
On the ACT scores, in terms of the students that maybe are exploring physics and some of those other college prep curriculum courses, can you associate their ACT scores in comparison with others and know that that's translating to a higher score on the ACT?
I haven't looked at that data, but it would definitely be very interesting to see if that is the case.
Because that's one of the struggles I've had with Sequoia for some time, is whether or not we're truly asking our students to do college prep coursework, which is not the minimum high school graduation requirements for the state of Oklahoma.
Right.
So, well, I appreciate all the effort, because this detailed report was extremely useful to me, and I appreciate that you spent time sharing with us.
Absolutely.
I do have questions about the immersion school and about budget, but I'll save those when we're done with the Sequoia curriculum and academics discussion.
Next, Councilman Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate your report. I appreciate your exuberance for the students, and it shows. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And I have questions too on the budget as well. Thank you.
All right. Is there questions regarding Sequoia? Seeing none. All right. Good report. All right. Cultural tourism.
So, Mr. Chair, we have questions for Sequoia, but it's for Mr. Qualls.
Okay, go ahead. You're good. Council Lead. Not Coates, but Watts.
On the immersion school, where are we at with curriculum and the English part and the testing? And we get a report on that? Because at one point there was feedback that stuff hadn't progressed the way it needed to, and it wasn't where it was supposed to be for our immersion schools. So are we where we need to be in education for English language and for testing results and the curriculum for Cherokee language?
Well, we're offering English in the after-school programs every day.
Okay.
And we're trying to start at a younger age for English. We've had diagnostic testing the first week of September, and we're going to have a post-test, if you would, at the end of the semester to see how much gain that our students have made as far as grade level.
Okay.
Of course, we won't know that until after we see where we started and where we finish up at on the semester.
Okay.
I just wanted to add too, because of the success that we had as far as Achieve 3000 and the reading Lexile levels, because that's where the biggest concern is as far as the third grade reading test is concerned.
Across the state.
Yes. That I know that Ms. Davis is looking into Achieve 3000 for her students, because I know that they have to speak Cherokee, but if it's on the computer and they're reading it, maybe we could, it's in the works is all I can say.
Okay, no, I appreciate it.
That would be great, because, with the third grade testing the way it is now, and students being held back. I was visiting with Keith Ballard, and, you know, if you read the paper, you had 479 that tested, only 4 that passed, and that was the remediation summer program. He told me how much money it cost to do that, but his concern is that next year, these third graders that repeat will be tested again, and he'd be surprised if 10 pass next year out of 470-something students, which would put them 2 grade levels behind. And my question is, what's going to happen when we get to high school? Well, the state's going to have a severe dropout problem years down the road if that's the case.
Well, and I appreciate the candor because it is part of a bigger issue that we're all facing, I think, through all schools. So that's helpful. Recently, there was an article in the Tahlequah Daily Press, and I know that we passed through the budget. But given all the quotes that were given from different people involved, could you walk me through what we were saddled with, the $1.2 million? And that's fine, but that's the language that was used in the article.
Just point of clarification, we're getting Dr. Morton and Bill Ando back here to talk about the budget.
Oh, I thought Mr. Claus was responsible for the Sequoia budget.
Well, Sequoia's set up different. There's the executive director. It's like an umbrella, and then it goes deputy, and then it goes superintendent Sequoia Schools. So we're going to entertain these questions to Bill Ando and Dr. Morton.
And Dr. Morton's already gone from the room for now, but and I'll do what I can. I probably will defer this for Treasurer Horn.
Okay.
We get into any specific numbers. Since the budget mod came from.
I mean, because obviously it's become an issue. I was trying to explain it to folks, and I guess I wasn't able to explain it. So I want to know, how did we get here? What are we facing? Because apparently, I don't. When did it happen, and what happened? I guess. And we're now paying for it, the $1.2 million. That's what's identified in this article. So.
Yeah, I'd rather go ahead and defer this for Treasurer Horn, or at least have some time to prepare for it, you know, because they presented the budget mod.
Is Treasurer Horn present? Can someone get Treasurer Horn?
And actually can wait until the end of the month.
I mean, it's federal money, so I assume we can say, hey, here's what did or didn't happen, and be done with it.
We can, any three of us can give you the general terms in terms of nailing it down to these exact dollars.
If you can give me a general overview.
General terms is unfunded mandates, you know, coming across the board from the state level, and then shrinking federal dollars, you know, at the same time that we're trying to produce the program at a quality, you know, that we always had. So it has just over time has been eating away at us.
Okay, because that's what I understood when we passed the budget mod, but then in the article from the administration, it insinuates that there were other issues that were the response that had like happened. And so if there's something else to it, I'd like to understand that now so we can just clear the air and be done with it. I mean, our kids are not political fodder.
Oh my goodness, no.
I just want the air cleared, and I want to, if there's other things that I didn't understand when we passed the budget mod, let's get them out on the table and be done with it.
Yeah. I don't know what those other things would be, you know, in terms of...
I've heard something about a roof. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I mean that's a whole separate issue. I mean, Sequoia, and I'm not going to give you specifics about the roof. Sequoia is our oldest consistently occupied series of buildings that Cherokee Nation owns, other than our historic buildings. I mean, those dorms were built prior to the complex. Lots of wear and tear. We're dealing with, of course, federal dollars to keep those up, and so the maintenance on those, even the dorms themselves, is overwhelming. For these buildings were built, what, 1950s? Yeah, no, for sure. I know the furniture in it. Some of the furniture in it is from the 1950s, and so these are aging buildings, and so the maintenance alone has been taxing. On the budget just to keep up with the facilities.
I read the article that Councilor Watts is referring to, and it was something about a $1.2 million deficit in education. And as I was reading that, all of those figures were inaccurate, and they were falsified accusations on the budget. The truth is, this council just passed a budget to be sure that Sequoia schools will maintain and operate for the fiscal year 15. There are some other comments in there, and I mean, I'm going to go into depth of that, but the superintendent and Dr. Morton are very happy and excited about the upcoming budget, and they work closer with that budget than any of us. And with saying that, you know, as alumni, I really can't, you know, I don't see why someone would come in and attack Sequoia and the facilities that are run down, and Mr. Qualls and Ms. Rose and you guys are coming in and renovating these properties, which they've been neglected over the years. Matter of fact, all of our buildings have been neglected, and so we're playing catch up here, but we're providing a quality life for these kids, healthy environment for the dormitory students. It was heartbreaking to me coming in when I first got elected to council, and I took pictures of all this, sent Dr. Warner, the asbestos, the mold, and our numbers were down in the dorms, and now they've doubled. And Mr. Qualls, I know you've partnered with CMB getting new beds for these students. Some of those beds were back in the World War II beds. I mean, they're sleeping on springs. And the school has really improved a lot, and I think we're getting new water lines in there, and we're upgrading the football facility. We're getting a traffic light out there to provide safety for our parents transporting students. So the budget, folks, is good. We're going to get by this year, and we've really maximized what we have.
Well, you're really fortunate to have some caring people over there, and you know, we've been advocating strongly for like the furniture that we got from C&E, and as you know, the housing numbers are up, and we have quite a few students who live here. I mean, their homes are in Tahlequah, but they choose to live in dorms because it's a better environment for them. You know, this is their home. And we're fortunate to have caring staff and supportive parents, because I don't get complaints about it. I mean, nobody's coming forward and complaining about the conditions of the dorms. It's really us as adults saying this needs to be better, and it's getting better. It's getting better. It's getting better every single.
Quick question, just around here, how many council members in this room have had students that went to Sequoia, or you've went to Sequoia?
Kids?
You've had your own kids go to Sequoia, or you went to Sequoia? Okay. Council Lady Fishnaut, you have a...
In a nutshell, what you're telling me is we had an increase in students, we had unfunded mandates, which nobody wants to hear about, and we had shrinking federal dollars.
Yes.
I mean, that was it. It was a simple budget mod that you come to us to. We do it all the time. Diane Kelly runs low in a budget. What do? We fill it. If career services run low, we fill it. We put money in the other day for health equipment. It was a simple budget mod is what you all was asking for. And I think as far as the facilities that David just now described, you know, I wish the $12 million wouldn't have been spent on that gym, and we could have had money for all the facilities to update them. Because when that gym got spent, there was years that they spent in advance, probably. If it wasn't for you all tightening the budget, what, 8-10 years of capital improvements was spent on that gym. We basically mortgaged, not doing nothing up there for that gym, folks. Correct. In a nutshell.
And I believe that's our first budget mod for Sequoia in recent history. I can't recall any other budget mod for Sequoia schools.
And what gets me is other schools are facing the same thing, but you don't hear about them in the paper.
Yeah.
Maybe they ain't an election coming up. But I like what y'all's doing up there.
That's Speaker Jordan.
Well, the thing is, you don't hear about the other schools because they do not enjoy what we can do for you as a government. we're putting in government dollars to make this the best school possible. You just heard what our students are doing. We have outstanding students. I read that article, and as far as I'm concerned, it was just politics. Somebody trying to make an issue where there wasn't an issue. I mean, folks, we don't need to be doing politics with our students, and that's what it came down to. I was pretty aggravated when I saw it in the local newspaper because I know we have a candidate that was basically camped out at the newspaper trying to get it in the newspaper. I think we're doing an excellent job at Sequoia, and I challenge anyone to say different. We have good students, we've got good teachers. I get so tired of hearing the negativity and seeing the negativity because I know it's got to have a bearing on how our teachers feel and how our students feel. At least from my standpoint, I believe you're doing an excellent job, and you have my full support.
Good report, Mr. Qualls, Mr. Ando.
We'd like to thank you, and thank you for the budget mod, and we appreciate the kind words. We absolutely try our best.
Kenny, do you have something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I fully support you too. I think all of us on the council do. But I was wondering if we could get a report of those budget issues and how you would address them. And then there was enhanced educational opportunities mentioned. I think we heard some of those today. But if we could get a list of those, that would maybe help us answer the questions.
I believe we've been talking about this in our meetings, and so I believe we will be bringing some budget issues to the floor here in the next.
I think Lacey's going to bring them. That's her department.
Yeah,
she'll be bringing them
in the months ahead. Of course, yeah, we'll all come to Treasure Horn.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Inspector Jordan.
Just point out, didn't the budget mod pass 17-0 from this body?
Yes, it did.
As I recall, it was 17-0 unanimous.
Was this at the last special council meeting?
It was a month
must
ago,
have been
wasn't it?
16-0
16-0 because you weren't there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we just got to do our due diligence.
It's without opposition.
Yeah, without opposition.
Anyways, well, appreciate that report. Good job, guys. Keep up the good work.
100% support.
All right, next we got cultural tourism. Miss Molly Jarvis. All-time greats. Post up, shoot the three, dunk on you, and point at your mom.
Hello, good afternoon. This is our quarterly report for cultural tourism. Since this was submitted, we did have the holiday, and from our vantage point with the retail sales and the museums, everything went very well. This was one of the first times ever that we sold out of the Cherokee National Holiday t-shirt, and I have Cheryl Trask with me, and she manages our retail stores and did a great job with that, and even had to reorder it several times. So the design was by Dan Mink, who works here at Cherokee Nation and Amanda Clinton's group, and was a very popular shirt, and people really responded well to it. We have our fall education tours going on now, and we do have some openings still for those grants that are provided for schools within the 14 counties. So if you have any schools in your area, they can contact Cynthia Van Denemiel in our office and see about seeking a grant for the fall education tours. We have a lot of groups that use that program. We hosted 6 175th Trail of Tears commemorative events since March, and just had the last one at Gilcrease Museum last week, where $100,000 was contributed to Gilcrease for a museum exhibit that will tell the story of Cherokee history from, I believe, 1828 to 1866, and that would open in August of 2017. So we'll be working very closely with Gilcrease Museum to develop that exhibit. And on the capital projects, the exterior masonry work for the downtown Capitol here is still in the bid process with CMB's purchasing and construction group. So I we'll bring you an update once we have a firm selected and are actually beginning work. And then on the Saline Courthouse for the master planning, we did select a firm. It's One Architecture out of Tulsa. They are a Tarot firm, and we'll be working with them on the site planning there.
Okay, is there any questions for Ms. Jarvis? Yeah, Chief Byrd?
Hey, Molly, I just want to thank you for helping PR the play that took place at the Joint a few weeks ago. Did a great job filling for you and your staff. I don't think that we got those numbers quite the way it was.
We actually, the sales of tickets exceeded our expectations.
As well here.
Yes, and we did have to add about 200 more seats for Friday and Saturday evenings. And so the monies from those ticket sales are being directed toward the Cherokee Heritage Center and will be a little over $30,000.
Also, the staff there at the gift shop here by the restaurant.
That's Cheryl's staff.
I spend a lot of time in there, for the marketing that you did there as well. I mean, the shirts sold, that's what you want.
Yes.
A good job there. Maybe we could add a few more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good job.
Councilor Lady Watts?
Hey, one more thing before I get. Yes, sir. I need to announce, before I forget, I got hit it. I don't want to interrupt your speech. Jack Revis, would you please stand? This is Jack Revis, tribal member, state rep candidate. Before I forget, I just got to know, just give him an applause here.
Jack is a huge advocate for education in the state, and again, he's a tribal member, and he's an educator at Muskogee High School. And Jack, we appreciate you being a part of our education committee. Councilor Lady Watts?
Are you sure?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure now.
I understand Herb Fritz has passed away.
Yes.
And he had done our original master planning for the Saline Courthouse. I don't know if your group, were we able to do anything formally, maybe from CMB or tourism?
You know, Travis and I talked about that. We haven't really put a firm plan together yet, but it is definitely something we could consider.
I recall the early work done on that.
Yeah.
I think it could have moved forward without, I know he's a paid contractor and he wasn't part of the Cherokee Nation in terms of...
Councilor Watts, could you please speak up? Who passed away?
Herb Fritz, the original architect on the Saline Courthouse master planning.
Herb Fritz, thank you.
So if your group could...
Yeah, we can continue to consider some options. Travis and I did talk about that and sent him, you know, should we do something? So we may talk to the Saline Preservation Association as well and see if something can be done in his
I
honor.
personally made a donation to the Tulsa Architecture Foundation, I think was what they had designated the family. But,
okay.
I just remembered he put up with some very heated Cherokee arguments early on and navigated all of us through that. And I just thought that it would be worth the time. Is the new architecture firm going to take his original document and start the next planning steps, or are we going to start backwards?
No, I don't think...
I don't mean backwards in a negative way. Are we going to start over?
No, the Preservation Association with Mr. Fritz had done a lot of work, and we still have that master plan. It is about 10 years old, so we will take it definitely into consideration, but also considering that additional 57 acres that was just acquired.
Okay, thank you very much. And remind me which corner of the lot that is. I mean, where is that with respect? Is that the neighbor that we never thought we would get a purchase on?
I think so. Directionally, I can't tell you, but it's bordered by the highway, and then this sits behind it, kind of wraps around it.
Okay, so
it's north and east. I think so too.
It is the neighbor we never thought we would get moving on. Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilman Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. $100K to Gilcrease, was that out of the tourism budget?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go thank you? And 20,000 before that? I didn't make it.
That was not out of the tourism budget, I don't believe, but I can track that down. I don't believe that was out of the tourism budget.
Okay. That's okay. I can track that down.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good report, Molly.
Thank you.
Okay, old business, none pending, new business, announcements. Saying none, hear motion to adjourn. All right. The mayor, second. Second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, 10 minutes.